Hey guys, tonight we're pulling back the heavy, unwashed wool blanket on one of the most fundamental parts of human existence, sleep. We're journeying into the deep, dark night of the Middle Ages, a time when sleep was not the private, peaceful escape we know today. Forget cozy bedrooms and 8 hours of uninterrupted rest. The medieval night was a strange, communal, and often interrupted affair, filled with fears both real and supernatural. So, before you drift off, take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you enjoy these quiet journeys into the past. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. It's always fascinating to see who's sharing this space from around the world. Now dim the lights, imagine the crackle of a dying hearth fire, and let's explore the weird and wonderful world of medieval sleep. The long, grueling medieval day is finally over. You have survived the back-breaking labor in the fields, the questionable stew that passed for dinner, and the constant low-level fear of plague, punishment, and perdition. The sun has long since vanished, and the world outside your door has been plunged into a deep and profound darkness. A blackness unfiltered by the glow of streetlights or cityscapes. Now all you crave is the simple, restorative oblivion of sleep. You shuffle across the cold, damp dirt floor of your home and head towards your bed, seeking a moment of peace, a small sanctuary of personal space where you can finally be alone, with your thoughts. But it is here, at the very threshold of what should be a private refuge, that you encounter the first and most jarring reality of the medieval night. The concept of a private personal bedroom does not exist. The very idea of being alone, of having a space that is yours and yours alone, is a luxury so far beyond your reality that it might as well be a fairy tale. Your home, after all, is a simple wooden hut with one room. There are no walls to divide the space, no hallways, no separate quarters. It is a charming open concept floor plan, as the modern world might call it, where your family, your livestock, and a whole ecosystem of domestic insects all share the same breathing space. This single, smoky room is where you cook, where you eat, where you mend your tools, and where you sleep. There is no escape. You look at your bed. It is not a neatly made sanctuary for one or two. It is the designated sleeping area for the entire household, a sprawling, low platform, or more likely, a single large mattress on the floor. And as you prepare to lie down, you are not preparing for solitude. You are preparing for the nightly ritual of communal sleeping. The first and most obvious occupants of this shared space are your immediate family. You, your wife, and your 3 children will all pile onto the same mattress. The children are, often placed in the middle, their small bodies a source of precious warmth, nestled between the adults like a human-sized meatloaf of family and wool. But it doesn't stop there. In the corner of the room, or perhaps sharing the same sprawling mattress, is your wife's elderly mother, her quiet, wheezing breaths a constant rhythm of the night. And on the other side, that random cousin who showed up last harvest and just never left is already snoring soundly. In the medieval world, households are not the small nuclear units of today. They are sprawling, multi-generational webs of kinship, and everyone is entitled to a spot on the floor. But the guest list for your nightly slumber party is not limited to family. The laws of hospitality in the Middle Ages are a serious matter. In a world with few inns and dangerous roads, offering shelter to a weary traveller is a sacred duty. If a pilgrim, a merchant, or a travelling friar knocks on your door seeking refuge for the night, you are expected to provide it. And where will this stranger sleep? More often than not, right there with you, in the communal bed. They would be given a spot, perhaps at the foot of the mattress, and expected to settle in with the family. The idea of turning a stranger away, to sleep in the cold, was unthinkable. But the idea of giving them a private room was equally absurd. And so, you might find yourself drifting off to sleep, nestled between your snoring child and a complete stranger who smells faintly of incense and the open road. For those of a slightly higher social standing, like a prosperous merchant or a knight, the situation was much the same, only with more designated roles. The master and mistress of the house would sleep in the main bed, often the most valuable piece of furniture they owned, and their personal servants would sleep on the floor right. Beside them, a human security system and a living alarm clock rolled into one. They were there to tend the fire, fetch a drink of water in the night, and protect their master from any potential threats, be they assassins or a sudden draft. You may be asking yourself, in a world so deeply concerned with piety and sin, how was this intimate, co-ed, multi-family sleeping arrangement considered normal? The answer is simple and brutally practical: warmth and safety. Your one-room hut is a drafty, poorly insulated structure. The fire in the hearth is banked low to save precious firewood, and the cold of the night seeps in through the wattle and daub. Walls. Huddling together, sharing the collective body heat of 10 other people, is not a choice. It is a survival strategy. It is the single most effective way to keep from freezing to death in the deep, dark heart of a medieval winter. Modesty was not a priority. Warmth was. Safety was the other crucial factor. The medieval night was a dangerous time. The darkness outside was a perfect cover for thieves, bandits, or even rival villagers looking to settle a score. Sleeping together in a large, crowded group offered a measure of security. Any intruder would have to contend not with one sleeping individual, but with a whole pile of them, a defensive formation of snoring, twitching bodies. And so you lie down, finding your usual spot in the nightly jigsaw puzzle of humanity. The experience is an assault on the senses. You are never not touching someone. A child's foot is in your back, your wife's hair is in your face, and the stranger at the foot of the bed is muttering in his sleep. The air is thick with the smells of unwashed bodies, stale beer, and damp wool. The sounds are a constant, low-level symphony. The soft whistle of your mother-in-law's breathing, the deep, guttural snores of your cousin, the rustling of the straw as someone shifts their weight, and the occasional soft cry of a child having a bad dream. This is your reality. There is no bedroom. There are no curtains. There is no quiet moment of me time before you drift off to sleep. There is only communal everything. The very concept of privacy, the idea that your body, your thoughts, and your sleep are your own, is a foreign and decadent fantasy. Your nightly rest is a public affair, a shared and necessary ritual. It is a perfect microcosm of your entire existence, a life lived in close, constant, and inescapable proximity to others, a life where the needs of the group for warmth and safety will always trump the desire of the individual for a moment of peace and quiet. You have accepted your place in the great communal bed, a nightly jigsaw puzzle of family, cousins, and the occasional complete stranger. You have resigned yourself to the lack of privacy, the constant chorus of snoring and coughing, and the intimate, inescapable proximity of your fellow human beings. But now, as you settle in for the night, you must confront the grim reality of the surface upon which you sleep. This is not a bed in the modern sense of the word. It is not a sanctuary of comfort or a haven of hygiene. The medieval bed is an ecosystem. It is a living, breathing, and often rotting landscape, a world of its own that is as hostile to a peaceful night's rest as the harsh world outside your door. Let us first consider the structure. For the vast majority of the population, including you, a bed frame is a luxury. Your sleeping area is simply a designated spot on the cold, damp, and often crusty dirt floor. But let's imagine you are slightly more prosperous. Perhaps you are a skilled artisan or a relatively successful farmer. You might possess a simple wooden frame, a low platform that lifts you a precious few inches off the ground. These beds were not the ornate four-poster beds of kings and high nobility. They were simple, functional pieces of furniture, perhaps. A few rough-hewn planks of wood nailed together, with no headboard, no footboard, and certainly no thought given to aesthetics or comfort. Its only purpose was to create a small barrier between you and the dampness, the drafts, and the occasional gift left by the chickens that share your one-room home. Upon this frame, or more likely directly upon the floor, rests your mattress. And it is here that the true horror begins. There is no memory foam, no inner springs, and definitely no Egyptian cotton sheets. Your bed is a simple, coarse sack, a palliasse made of rough burlap or linen, and it is stuffed with whatever organic material your family could gather. For most of the year, this means straw or hay. In leaner times, it could be dried leaves, moss, horsehair, or even scraps of wool too coarse to be spun into thread. When this mattress is new, it is perhaps the closest thing to comfort you will experience. The straw is relatively soft, and it carries the faint, earthy, almost sweet smell of the harvest. But this state of grace is tragically brief. Over the weeks and months, the straw begins to compress under the weight of the many bodies sleeping on it, becoming a hard, lumpy, and unforgiving surface. The dampness from the air, from the leaky thatched roof, and from your own sweating, breathing body seeps into the organic material. And then the decay begins. The straw starts to rot, to mold, and to develop a musty, pungent odor. Your bed, quite literally, begins to compost underneath you. It is a half-rotted straw mattress stuffed with bugs and hay that smells like a barn floor, because it was a barn floor 3 months ago. This warm, damp, and decaying environment is a paradise for other forms of life. Your mattress is not just a bed, it is a bustling, thriving metropolis for an entire civilization of insects. You are never, ever sleeping alone. Fleas, lice, and bedbugs live rent-free on your body and in your bedding. They are a constant, itching, and inescapable reality of your life. You can feel them crawling on your skin in the darkness. Their tiny bites a source of endless torment. You will scratch yourself raw in your sleep, your skin a battlefield of red welts and scabs. Everyone has them, from the lowest peasant to the highest noble. They are a shared communal misery, and it is not just the small insects. Your straw mattress is also a welcoming home for spiders, beetles, and even mice, who find it a convenient source of food and shelter. The rustling you hear in the night is not just your cousin turning over. It is the sound of the ecosystem that you call your bed, going about its nightly business. Now what about the rest of your bedding? You have no pillows. A pillow is a luxury for the soft necks of the clergy or the nobility. Your head rests on a hard block of wood, a rolled up and likely damp cloak, or simply on your own arm, which will be numb and tingling by morning. There are also no sheets. The idea of a clean, washable layer between your body and the teeming, rotting ecosystem of your mattress is a fantasy. You lie directly on the coarse, scratchy surface of the palliasse itself. Your only source of warmth and cover is a single wool blanket. This is not a soft, comforting throw. It is a heavy, greasy, and incredibly durable piece of textile, thick with the natural lanolin from the sheep's wool, which offers a small measure of water resistance. But this blanket has not been washed since last winter, and now weighs roughly as much as a small cow from the accumulated grime. Washing it is a monumental task that requires hauling and heating vast amounts of water, and would leave you without any cover for the night, a dangerous proposition in a cold climate. So it remains unwashed, a stiff and heavy shroud that carries the smells and the history of every person who has ever slept under it. So, let us paint the final picture. You lie down for the night, crammed between your family members. The hard, lumpy mattress offers no support for your aching back. The scratchy straw pokes you through the thin fabric of the sack. The smell of rot, mold, and unwashed bodies fills your nostrils. The dampness from the floor seeps into the straw, chilling you to the bone, a dampness that is only partially offset by the combined body heat of your bedfellows. And as you try to find a moment of peace, you feel the familiar, maddening itch of a flea bite on your ankle, then another on your neck. You are lying in a biohazard, a festering pile of organic decay, a living, crawling, itching, and stinking testament to the profound discomfort of the medieval world. This is not a bed designed for rest. It is a bed designed for endurance. And, as you close your eyes, you do not drift off into a peaceful slumber. You simply surrender to the long, itchy, and uncomfortable night, hoping that the dawn comes quickly. You have survived the communal bed. You have resigned yourself to the living, breathing ecosystem that is your straw mattress. The sounds of your sleeping family, the stench of the unwashed blankets, and the constant, maddening itch of flea bites have finally faded into the background as exhaustion, deep and profound, pulls you under. You fall into the darkness of sleep not like a gentle feather, but like a heavy stone dropped into a deep well. The brutal physical labor of the medieval day demands this of you. Your body craves this oblivion, a brief, dreamless void to repair, the damage done to your aching muscles and weary spirit. This is your first sleep. In the modern world, this would be the end of the story until morning. We think of a good night's rest as a single, unbroken block of 8 hours, an uninterrupted journey through the night. To wake in the middle of it is a sign of stress, of anxiety, of insomnia. It is a problem to be solved, a disruption to the natural order. But here, in the deep, dark heart of the Middle Ages, the night is a different country, with different laws. Your first heavy sleep is not meant to last until dawn. It is only the first act of a nightly play. After 3 or 4 hours sometime, around midnight, you begin to stir. But this is not a jarring, panicked awakening. It is a slow, gentle, and entirely natural return to consciousness. You drift up from the depths of your slumber, your mind clearing like a morning mist burning off a field. You open your eyes. The hut is steeped in a profound and almost sacred stillness. The fire in the central hearth has burned down to a pile of soft, glowing embers, casting a faint, warm, orange light on the sleeping forms around you. Outside, there is no hum of traffic, no glow of streetlights. There is only the deep, velvety blackness of a world without artificial light, perhaps softened by the pale, ethereal glow of the moon filtering through the smoke hole in the roof. You are awake, but you are not alarmed. This is normal. This is expected. This is the watch. For an hour, maybe 2, you will lie here in a state of quiet, lucid wakefulness. This is not the frustrating, mind-racing insomnia of the modern age. It is a period of serene contemplation, a calm and peaceful interlude between 2 distinct periods of sleep. This pattern, which historians now call segmented or biphasic sleep, was the absolute norm for centuries, stretching from the ancient world well into the Industrial Revolution. It was so common, so deeply ingrained in the rhythm of human life, that it rarely needed a name. It was simply how the night worked. People would speak of their first sleep, or premier somme as it was called in France, as a distinct event. Legal documents, diaries, and letters from the period all refer to it matter-of-factly. A doctor might advise a patient to apply a poultice after their first sleep. A character in a story might conceive a child in the quiet hours between their sleeps. It was a recognized and accepted part of the nightly landscape. So why has this fundamental human experience been so completely forgotten? The answer, like so many things, lies in the changing nature of our relationship with light. Before the invention of the gas lamp and later the electric light bulb, the daily lives of most people were dictated by the simple, powerful rhythm of the sun. When the sun went down, the world became dark and there was little to do. Most people would go to bed not long after dusk, perhaps around 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening. Their bodies, not bombarded by the stimulating blue light of screens and bulbs, would naturally attune themselves to a different kind of rest. Modern sleep science has even confirmed this. When people are placed in an environment with only natural light for an extended period, their sleep patterns often begin to change. They start to fall into this same biphasic rhythm, sleeping for a few hours, waking for a calm period of an hour or two, and then falling back to sleep until morning. It seems that the single, consolidated block of sleep we see as normal is not a biological necessity, but a relatively recent historical invention, a product of our artificially illuminated world. And so you lie there, in the quiet darkness of your medieval hut, a living participant in this ancient and natural rhythm. The world around you is asleep, and for the first time since you awoke yesterday morning, you have a moment that feels truly your own. The day is a relentless performance of communal living and public duty. You are never alone. You work in the fields with your neighbors, you eat with your family, you sleep in a pile of bodies. But this quiet midnight hour is different. This is a secret, personal time. It is a time for introspection. You might reflect on the day that has passed, on the argument you had with your neighbor over a stray pig, or on the small fleeting joy of your child's laughter. You might worry about the future, about the coming harvest, about whether the grain stores will last through the winter, or you might simply lie still, your mind calm and empty, and just listen to the quiet sounds of the night, the soft breathing of your family, the rustle of the straw in your mattress as someone shifts, the low moan of the wind outside the wattle and daub walls, the distant, lonely cry of an owl. This was a time that was considered by many to be spiritually potent. The barrier between the physical world and the world of the spirits was thought to be at its thinnest. It was a time for prayer, for contemplating your soul, for feeling a quiet connection to the divine in the deep stillness of the night. It was also a profoundly creative time. With the mind in this calm, almost meditative state, it was a period where new ideas could surface, where dreams could be remembered and deciphered, and where the stories you would tell your children could be woven in the loom of your quiet imagination. You do not toss and turn. You do not fret about being awake. You accept it as a natural and welcome part of the night's journey. After an hour or so of this peaceful, contemplative wakefulness, you feel the gentle pull of slumber returning. Your thoughts begin to soften, to dissolve. You shift your position in the communal bed, curling up against the warmth of your wife, and you allow yourself to drift back down into the well of sleep. This is your second sleep. It is generally lighter, more filled with dreams, and it will carry you through the remainder of the night until the first faint hint of dawn. The night for you is not a single, dark and empty ocean to be crossed. It is a landscape with two valleys of deep rest, separated by a quiet, moonlit plateau of wakefulness. It is a journey in two parts, a strange and forgotten rhythm that defined the nocturnal world of your ancestors for thousands of years. But this raises a fascinating question. If this period of wakefulness was so normal and so accepted, what exactly did people do during this time? The answer reveals even more about the strange and wondrous inner life of the medieval world. You are awake. The first deep sleep of the night has passed, and you now find yourself in the quiet, contemplative interlude known as the watch. The world outside is a realm of absolute blackness, a deep and silent void that bears little resemblance to the light-polluted nights of the modern world. Inside your hut, the fire has burned down to a bed of soft, pulsing embers, casting a gentle, warm glow that barely pushes back against the shadows. The other members of your household are still, their breathing a soft and rhythmic chorus. This is a unique and precious time, a quiet island of consciousness in the vast ocean of the night. So, what do you do with it? In the modern world, to be awake at 2 a.m. is a problem. It is a sign of a restless mind, a symptom of a life out of balance. You might toss and turn, frustrated, checking the clock, your mind racing with the anxieties of the coming day. But here, in the medieval night, this period of wakefulness is not a problem to be solved. It is an opportunity to be used. It is a quiet, productive, and deeply personal space, free from the noise, the labor, and the endless social demands of the day. For most people in this deeply religious age, the first and most natural activity during the watch is prayer. The church itself follows a nocturnal rhythm. Throughout the night, the bells of the local monastery will ring out, calling the monks to their prayers of matins and lauds. For you, a layperson, these distant, lonely bells are a reminder of your own spiritual duties. This is not the public, performative prayer of Sunday Mass, with the entire village watching. This is a quiet, intimate conversation with God. You might lie still in your bed, your eyes closed, and silently recite the prayers you have known since childhood. You might pray for the soul of your father, who died last winter from a lung sickness. You might pray for the health of your children, that they might be spared from the fevers and plagues that carry away so many. You might pray for a good harvest, for protection from the fires and floods that could destroy your livelihood in an instant. Or you might simply lie in the stillness, feeling the presence of something sacred in the profound quiet of the night. The darkness is not empty. It is filled with a spiritual potency. It is a time when the veil between this world and the next feels at its thinnest. A time for quiet contemplation of your soul and your place in God's vast, mysterious creation. But the watch is not only for the sacred, it is also for the practical. Your life is a constant struggle for survival, and the work never truly ends. One of the most important tasks during this midnight hour is to tend the fire. The hearth is the heart of your home, its only source of heat and light. To let it die completely during a cold winter night would be a disaster. So, you might rise quietly from the bed, the cold dirt floor a shock to your bare feet, and gently place a new log onto the glowing embers, carefully blowing on them until a small, new flame catches. You are not just feeding a fire, you are nurturing the lifeblood of your household. This is also a time for quiet vigilance. You might check on the livestock who share your home, listening for the soft, distressed bleating of a ewe that is about to give birth, or ensuring the cow is settled and well. You might pad silently to the door, its simple wooden latch your only security, and listen to the sounds of the night, alert for the snap of a twig that might signal a wolf or the footsteps of a thief. In a world without police, your family's safety is your own responsibility, and this quiet hour is a natural time to act as its guardian. And in the intimacy of the communal bed, this is a time for connection. The day is a whirlwind of labor and noise. There is little time for private conversation, but here, in the hushed stillness of the night, you might turn to your wife, her form a warm presence beside you in the darkness, and speak in low, hushed tones. This is your only true moment of privacy. You can discuss the worries you cannot speak of during the day, a dispute with a neighbor, the dwindling supply of grain, a concern for a sickly child. you can share your hopes, your fears, your dreams. It is a time for the quiet, intimate work of marriage, of partnership, of reaffirming the bonds that help you both endure the hardships of your world. It was also, according to medical texts and diaries of the time, a period favoured for marital intimacy. After the first deep restorative sleep, free from the complete exhaustion of the day, it was seen as a more natural and even more fruitful time for conception. For the small, privileged minority who are literate, the watch is an unparalleled opportunity for intellectual work. A scholar, a monk, or a nobleman might use this silent, focused time for reading and writing. Imagine a scribe in his cold monastery cell, the only light coming from a single sputtering tallow candle. The world is asleep, and his mind is completely clear, free from distraction. He can pore over a precious hand-copied manuscript, his mind absorbing the wisdom of the ancients. He can dip his quill into a pot of ink and write, his thoughts flowing freely in the profound silence. Much of the great literature, the theology, and the historical chronicles of the Middle Ages were likely written during these quiet, midnight hours. The watch, then, is a flexible and deeply personal space. It is a time that can be filled with prayer, with chores, with intimacy, or with study, depending on your needs and your station in life. It is a forgotten piece of the human experience, a quiet, contemplative plateau in the middle of the nights. Journey that has been completely erased by the bright, unceasing glare of the modern, artificially illuminated world. You do not resent this period of wakefulness. You embrace it. It is a gift, a secret hour that belongs only to you and the night. And as you feel the gentle, familiar pull of sleep returning, you do not feel as though you have been interrupted. You feel as though you have been restored. You have tended to your soul, to your home, and to your family, and now you are ready for the second act of your nightly rest. You have navigated the first and second sleeps, the strange segmented rhythm of the medieval night. After a period of quiet, contemplative wakefulness, you are now ready to descend back into slumber. As you settle back into the lumpy, living ecosystem that is your straw mattress, a modern thought might flicker in your mind. The simple comfort of changing into soft, clean pajamas. It is a thought so alien, so fantastically luxurious to your medieval reality, that it might as well be a dream of flying. In your world, the clothes you wear to bed are, with very little variation, the same clothes you have worn all day, and will wear again tomorrow. The concept of dedicated sleepwear is a distant dream, and what you wear to rest is a story of practicality, warmth, and a profound lack of comfort. Let us debunk the first myth, the idea of sleeping naked. While it was not unheard of, especially in the warmest months or in the privacy of a wealthy person's chambers, for the vast majority of people like you, sleeping naked was a foolish and dangerous proposition. The primary reason is the same, one that dictates so much of your life. The relentless, biting cold. Your drafty, poorly insulated hut offers little protection from the chill of the night, and your single heavy wool blanket is your only shield. To cast it off would be to invite a deep, bone-aching cold that could easily lead to sickness. So, you sleep in your clothes. The foundation of your daily and nightly attire is your undergarment. For most people, this is a simple long shirt or shift made of coarse, undyed linen. If you are lucky, you might have a linen undertunic. This is the most important piece of clothing you own. It serves as a barrier between your skin and your valuable, scratchy outer garments made of wool. It is designed to absorb the sweat, the grime, and the oils of your body, and it is the one piece of clothing that you might wash with some regularity, perhaps once a month if you are diligent. For men, this might be paired with a set of linen, shorts called brays, while women's shifts were often long enough to serve as a single underlayer. This simple linen garment is your pajama, your underwear, and your first line of defense against the filth of the world. Over this, you wear your daily clothes. For a man, this is a rough wool tunic and trousers. For a woman, a long woolen dress. In the depths of winter, you would not dream of taking these off before bed. The idea of disrobing in the frigid air of the hut only to climb into a cold bed is absurd. You need every layer you can get. The wool, though scratchy and heavy, is a miracle of insulation, retaining its warmth even when it gets damp from the rain that leaks through your thatched roof. You simply loosen your belt, lie down, and pull the heavy blanket over yourself, fully clothed. Changing into pajamas in sub-zero temperatures was a good way to become a Viking popsicle, so layers stayed on. You might even, on the most brutally cold nights, sleep with your boots on, a desperate measure to prevent the frostbite that could cost you your toes. One of the most iconic and often misunderstood pieces of medieval sleepwear is the nightcap. In modern cartoons and stories, it is often portrayed as a comical, floppy hat. But for you, it is a crucial and highly practical piece of equipment. You wear a simple linen or wool cap to bed for several very important reasons. The first, again, is warmth. An incredible amount of body heat is lost through an uncovered head, and a simple cap is a remarkably effective way to stay warm through the night. The second reason is hygiene, or at least the medieval version of it. Your hair, like the rest of your body, is rarely washed and is likely home to a thriving population of lice. The straw of your mattress is also teeming with pests. A nightcap helps to keep your hair from becoming a tangled, filthy mess, and more importantly, it provides a small cloth barrier, a last line of defense, to discourage the various insects in your bed from taking up residence in your scalp. Now, we must address the state of these clothes you are sleeping in. Your wardrobe consists of exactly one outfit. This single set of garments is your constant companion. It is stained with the mud of the fields, the grease from your meals, and the sweat of your labor. It is stiff with grime and scented like a compost pile that's been left to marinate in a pigsty. The very idea of washing it is a daunting prospect. It would require you to haul heavy buckets of water from the river or well, spend precious firewood to heat it, scrub the thick, heavy wool with harsh lye soap or ashes, and then wait for days for it to dry in the damp, overcast climate. And what would you wear in the meantime? You have nothing else, and so your clothes are simply not washed. They are worn until they are so threadbare and rotten that they begin to disintegrate off your body. Imagine the sensory experience of this. You lie down, and the scratchy, damp wool of your tunic chafes your skin. The fabric is stiff and heavy, not soft and comforting. It carries the smells of your entire day, the smoke from the hearth, the manure from the fields, the stench of the unwashed bodies packed in beside you. It is a garment of pure utility, not of comfort. This blurring of the lines between day wear and sleep wear is a reflection of a deeper truth about your life. The modern concept of a clear division between your public, working self and your private, resting self does not exist. Your life is a single, continuous performance of endurance. Your clothes are the uniform for that performance, and you never take them off. They are your second skin, a grimy, itchy, but ultimately essential shield against the cold and the harshness of the world. As you drift off into your second sleep, you are not cocooned in softness. You are bundled in the same rough, functional armor you will wear to face the battles of the coming day. You have settled into your second sleep, a lighter, more dream-filled rest that will carry you towards the dawn. The sounds of the hut, the soft breathing of your family, the crackle of the dying embers, fade into a gentle hum. But your mind is not truly at peace. In the medieval world, the night is not a time of rest and rejuvenation. It is a time of profound and terrifying danger. The darkness that presses in against the thin, wattle and daub walls of your home is not an empty void. It is a living, breathing presence, a separate kingdom populated by terrors both supernatural and all too real. To sleep is to become vulnerable, to surrender your consciousness in a world where the night itself is your enemy. First, and most powerful, is the supernatural terror. Your worldview is steeped in a deep and unshakable belief in a spiritual world that is constantly interacting with your own. And the night is the time when the veil between these worlds is at its thinnest. The darkness is the domain of the devil and his countless demons, who are believed to roam the earth after sunset, seeking to tempt, torment, and destroy the souls of good Christians. Every strange noise outside your hut, the howl of the wind, the cry of a night bird, the creak of a tree branch, could be the sound of a demon trying to find its way in. Hell is not an abstract concept. It is very real, a vividly real place that the priest describes in terrifying detail. It is a place of fire and ice, of demons with pitchforks and eternal wailing, and the night is a constant reminder of its proximity. This fear manifests in specific, terrifying forms. You believe in the incubus and the succubus, demonic spirits that are said to visit people in their sleep, preying on them sexually and stealing their life force. The modern phenomenon of sleep paralysis, with its feeling of being held down by a heavy weight and a sense of a malevolent presence in the room, is not a psychological event to you. It is a literal demonic assault. You might wake up in a cold sweat, your heart pounding, convinced that you have just survived a visit from one of these terrifying creatures of the night. The darkness is also believed to be the time when the restless, dead, walk the earth. The spirits of those who have died without a proper burial, or of unbaptized infants, are thought to be trapped between worlds, and they wander the lonely roads and graveyards at night, their ghostly forms a terrifying omen to any who might see them. You have heard the stories from your neighbours, tales of ghostly processions and sorrowful spectres seen on the edges of the village. The night, therefore, is not just empty, it is haunted. Alongside these supernatural fears are the much more practical dangers of the night. In a world lit only by the flickering, unreliable light of a candle, a tallow lamp, or the hearth fire, the darkness provides perfect cover for the criminal element. Thieves and bandits are a very real threat. The simple wooden bar across your door is your only protection against a desperate man who might break in to steal your single goat or your small stash of grain. Violence is a common part of your world, and the night makes you and your family incredibly vulnerable. Fire is another constant, terrifying risk. Your entire home is made of flammable materials, a wooden frame, a thatched roof, and a floor covered in dry straw. The only source of heat and light is an open fire in the center of the room. A single stray spark, an ember that rolls from the hearth while you are asleep, could ignite the straw of your mattress and engulf your entire home in flames in a matter of minutes. To fall asleep is to place your trust in the dying embers, praying that they do not betray you in the night. Finally, there is a deep-seated medical fear of the night itself. According to the prevailing medical wisdom of your time, disease is not caused by germs, but by miasma, or bad air. The night air is considered particularly dangerous. It is cold, it is damp, and it is believed to be filled with poisonous vapors that can seep into your body and cause sickness, plague, and death. This is why the people in your world sleep with their doors and any window openings sealed as tightly as possible. The stuffy, smoky, unventilated air of your hut, which a modern person would find suffocating, is, to you, a necessary shield against the toxic atmosphere of the outside world. To breathe the night air is to risk breathing in disease itself, and so you are trapped. Outside there are demons, ghosts, and thieves. Inside, there is the risk of fire and suffocation. How do you protect yourself? You rely on ritual. Before you go to sleep, you will say your prayers, asking God and the saints for protection. You might have a simple wooden crucifix hanging on the wall, or a pouch of blessed herbs tucked into your mattress. You will make the sign of the cross over yourself and your children, a small, habitual gesture that is a desperate plea for safety in a world that offers very little of it. Your sleep, therefore, is not a peaceful escape. It is a nightly siege. You are a soldier in a small, fragile fortress, defending your soul and your body against an army of threats both seen and unseen. The profound darkness, the strange sounds, and the deep-seated cultural fears all combine to make the medieval night a place of constant, low-level anxiety. The coming of the dawn is not just the start of a new day of labor. It is a victory. It is a moment of profound relief, a sign that you have survived the long, dark, and terrifying journey of the night once more. You have survived the terrors of the medieval dark, your soul shielded by prayer, your body by a simple wooden latch. As you drift in the lighter currents of your second sleep, you become aware that the night is not silent. The profound quiet of a world without electricity is a myth. The medieval night is a rich and complex soundscape, a world of noises both mundane and mysterious, a constant auditory backdrop to your fitful rest. To sleep is to be immersed in a world that is never truly quiet. The first and most immediate layer of sound comes from your own bed. You are, after all, sharing this space with a multitude of other living beings. The most dominant sound is the chorus of human breathing. It is a symphony of snores, wheezes, and coughs. Your cousin, the one who never left, is snoring like a wounded elk. Your elderly mother-in-law lets out a soft, whistling breath with every exhalation. One of your children, fighting off a cold, mutters and tosses in a feverish sleep. You are surrounded by the intimate, unfiltered sounds of the human body at rest, a constant reminder that you are never alone. Then there are the animal sounds. In the winter, your precious livestock are often brought into the one-room hut to protect them from the cold and from thieves. You might be jolted from a dream by the low moo of a cow that has decided your foot is in its way. The goats, separated by only a low wicker wall, shift and bleat softly in the darkness. The chickens rustle in their corner. These are not the gentle pastoral sounds of a distant farm. They are immediate, close, and pungent. They are the sounds of your living wealth, your walking pantry, and your furry, feathered roommates. Beyond, the sounds of the living are the sounds of the house itself. It is not a silent, solid structure. It is a living, breathing thing, constantly interacting with the world outside. The wind, howling like a wolf pack on a bad day, whistles through the countless cracks in the wattle and daub walls. When it rains, you hear the slow rhythmic drip, drip, drip of water leaking through the thatched roof. A sound that is both a gentle lullaby and a grim reminder that your floor is turning to mud. And in the walls and in the rafters, you hear the constant, subtle rustling and skittering of mice and rats. The other, less welcome, inhabitants of your home. The sounds of the village also filter in from the outside. A distant dog barks at the moon. A neighbor, deep in a nightmare, shouts a single, unintelligible word. The village is asleep, but it is a restless, murmuring sleep. But the most dominant and defining sound of the medieval night is one that is both a comfort and a command: the church bell. In the local monastery, the monks live their lives according to the canonical hours, a strict schedule of prayer that continues all through the night. and their call to prayer is the ringing of the bell. You will hear it in the deep of the night, a lonely, resonant clang that rolls across the sleeping fields, calling the monks to matins. You will hear it again in the pre-dawn darkness, a call for lauds. For the monks, it is a holy alarm clock. For you, it is something more. It is a structuring of the void. It is a division of the long, dark night into manageable pieces. It is a powerful and constant reminder that even in the deepest darkness, God is awake, the church is watching, and time is still moving forward. It is a sound of both spiritual comfort and social control, a rhythm that governs the night as surely as the sun governs the day, and so you sleep, or you try to. You are surrounded by the snores of your family, the shifting of your goats, the dripping of the rain, the skittering of the rats, and the holy, relentless ringing of the church bells. Your sleep is not a deep and silent plunge. It is a shallow, fitful, and constantly disturbed state. It is a thin blanket of rest, barely enough to cover you, in a world that is never, ever truly quiet. The medieval night is a living, breathing, noisy thing, and to sleep through it is to be a part of its strange and chaotic symphony. The long, noisy, and fearful journey of the medieval night is finally coming to a close. Through the single smoke hole in your thatched roof, you can see the deep, inky blackness of the sky begin to soften into a bruised pre-dawn purple. Your second sleep, a shallow and dream-filled affair, begins to thin, and you find yourself once again drifting towards consciousness. But this is not the gentle, refreshing awakening of the modern world. This is not a slow easing into the day accompanied by the smell of brewing coffee or the soft light of a sunrise. To wake up in the Middle Ages is to be thrown, violently and without ceremony, back into the grim reality of your existence. Your first alarm is likely the rooster's crow, a shrill and unforgiving sound that cuts through the morning mist. But the true non-negotiable summons to the day comes from the church. You blink awake as the church bell clangs in the distance. This is not a gentle, melodic chime. It is a loud, insistent, and metallic clang, the medieval version of an alarm clock, only louder and somehow even less merciful. There is no snooze button on this divine command. This is the bell for prime, the first prayer of the day, and it is a signal that your brief, inadequate respite is over. The time for labor has begun. The very first sensation that greets you is the cold, a deep, biting, and inescapable chill. You try to stretch but immediately regret it because the air is freezing and your joints ache. The fire in the hearth has died down to a few sad grey embers, offering no warmth. Your breath hangs in the air in a visible ghostly cloud. The single heavy wool blanket you share with your family, now damp with the accumulated breath and sweat of the night, offers little comfort as you prepare to cast it aside. And then there is the state of your own body. You are 22 years old, which in medieval terms is roughly middle-aged. Your spine cracks like an old wooden door, and your knees sound like a bag of rocks being shaken by a confused peasant. A life of hard labor, poor nutrition, and sleeping on a lumpy sack of rotting straw has taken its toll. You do not wake up, feeling rested, restored, or rejuvenated. You wake up feeling the same bone-deep exhaustion you felt when you went to sleep, only now it is accompanied by a cold, stiff ache in every joint. Getting out of bed is a gamble. You swing your legs over the side of the wooden platform and prepare for the shock of the floor. The floor is either wet from last night's rain, which leaks through the thatched roof, or crusty from something your neighbour's chicken did. Either way, your bare feet are now part of the ecosystem. The cold, damp earth sucks the warmth from you instantly, a grim welcome to the new day. As your eyes adjust to the dim light, you are greeted by the familiar sensory assault of your home. The smell, oh, It's a fragrant symphony. It is a subtle blend of stale beer, human sweat, goat, and something you pray isn't mold, but know in your soul probably is. It is the smell of your life, the inescapable aroma of poverty, and a world without sanitation. And of course, you are not alone. Your entire family, and maybe that random cousin who just never left, are waking up beside you. There is no quiet moment for yourself, no gentle transition from the private world of sleep to the social world of the day. The moment your eyes open, you are in the thick of it. A child is crying, your wife is already barking orders, and the goat in the corner is bleating to be milked. There's no bedroom, no curtains, no me time, just communal everything. The day's work begins with a speed that is dizzying. Before you have even had a chance to relieve yourself in the foul-smelling bucket in the corner, your children are being tasked with chores. They are sent out into the cold morning to fetch water from the stream, which is probably frozen over, or to scatter feed for the chickens. Your first task is to coax the dying embers in the hearth back to life. A desperate battle against the cold that holds your hut in its grip. There is no morning coffee, no quiet cup of tea. Your first drink of the day will be the same weak, sour ale you drank last night. And so, your day begins. You have survived the long, dark, and noisy night. You have endured the communal bed, the living mattress, the segmented sleep, and the terrors both real and imagined. But you do not wake up refreshed. You wake up having simply made it through. The medieval night is not a period of recovery that prepares you for the day. It is just another form of endurance, a different kind of hardship to be survived. You have won the battle against the darkness, but now, cold, aching, and still profoundly tired, you must face the long, grueling war of the day.